First off, here's some important beta for any of you planning on hiking Maclure or Lyell. We were unsure if we were going to bring crampons or microspikes along for the Lyell Glacier. Then right before the trip, I found a YouTube video that was put out just 2 days prior to our leaving, which showed how the Lyell Glacier currently looked. From this, we determined hiking poles would do just fine. You could actually add a couple hundred yards if you wanted to go completely around the glacier, but the sun cups and firm ice were easy to walk on both up and down on the return trip. In the afternoon on the hike in, Nick and I had to shelter for about an hour and a half due to the rain and the hail. While this was happening to us, about 7 miles away, it was snowing in Tuolumne Meadows.
Оставь включенным свет, и я найду, пусть даже через много лет, спастись. Мир полон тишиной, и тонет крик, и тени. Так много хочется сказать, безумных слов, безумных слов. Мы здесь в полной темноте, спокойных снов, спокойных снов, спокойных снов. Огни, погасли все огни, ты подожди, пока не уходи. Начать, все заново начать. Я не...
When the hail stopped and the clouds parted enough to see the tops of the mountains, we were bummed that conditions might not allow us to summit either peak with the equipment we had the next day.
Мне не привыкать, так много хочется сказать, безумных слов, безумных слов. Мы здесь в полной темноте, спокойных снов, спокойных снов, спокойных снов, спокойных снов.
Originally, the goal of this trip was to climb both Mount Lyell and Mount Maclure. Because of the snow, ice, and exposure on the lower summit block of Lyell, we all deemed it unsafe to climb and turned our attention to Maclure. Rather than a north-facing climbing route on Lyell, Maclure has a southeastern exposure route which allowed the hail, snow, and ice to melt for us by the time we attempted it around 2:30 p.m. My apologies for the lack of footage of the Class 3 route on Maclure. I wanted to film the guys in the sketchy sections, but my normally confident friends were intimidated by the icy conditions on Lyell and the intimidating look of the Maclure arête. I was the guinea pig and evaluated the difficulty and exposure along the way and kept yelling back to report my findings. As you go up Maclure, it keeps looking scarier and scarier, but you just have to push through. The difficulty and exposure actually remain constant despite looking scarier. I will have a helmet camera on next time though.
Sparkling snow.
There really should be a route difficulty rating together with an exposure rating on these climbs. For example, Mount Conness is rated as a Class 2 despite extreme exposure with 18-inch wide sections. The route up Maclure is also very scary. It's not that difficult, but very exposed and has loose rocks in some sections which make you constantly test your holds.
Cheers. We did it and almost doubled. I mean, if it hadn't been black ice, we would have made it up.
I could see this climb being very different every several years as the rock and holds constantly break off and change. Nick was asleep as we drove past Olmsted Point, and so his very first time seeing Half Dome was from the top of Maclure. He may be one of the only people alive to see Half Dome for their very first time from this perspective.